friends, Chubby Meeple here. Today I want to talk to you about a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. As of the recording, posting of this video, there's a couple of weeks left in the campaign. The game I'm talking about today is called Big Bad Overlord. This is a game of luck, strategy, and evil laughter. Let's go to the table. I'll give you a quick overview of how it plays, and then come back here and give you my thoughts. To set up for a game of Big Bad Overlord, each player will select one Duke from the game, and they will place the Duke's playmat in front of them with the Citadel side up. There are 6 to choose from in the game. In the case of this video, we're going to set up for 4 players. So any unused Dukes or Citadels can then be returned to the box. You will then shuffle the deck of Big Bad Overlord cards and deal 6 cards to each player. Players will be using these cards to build armies, to build defenses within their citadel, and if they happen to get lucky and have any of the magic artifacts, those would be taken into account as well. Once cards are dealt, players will look at their hand and choose 3 cards to place face down in their citadel as their main defense, and place 3 cards face up in front of their citadel that will form their attacking army. Players will be using their army to attack other players on the board or on the table. And the Citadel, the face down cards, will be used once a player has eliminated another player's army and starts to storm that character or that player's Citadel. These face down cards would be flipped over and become visible. They're given bonuses to help you defend the Citadel. Gameplay then proceeds, starting with the first player and going clockwise around the table. On their turn, a player will do 3 things. First, they will draw a card from the top of the deck. If the card drawn is a minion or an artifact card, they keep that card and they simply place that card in their army, or they can rearrange their troops. Since it's the beginning of the turn, you can rearrange troops. So if they wanted to place this Machine o' Death inside their citadel for defense purposes, they could do so, and they could simply bring out one of the cards that was in the citadel and add it to the army in the center of the table. I'm going to move these here. So now this gets added to their army, and now their army has gotten a little bit bigger. They can then rearrange troops, so you can move from your troops from your citadel into your army back into your citadel. You must always have 3 face-down cards in your citadel at any given time. That can be done at the beginning of your turn or at the end of your turn once you're done attacking it. You cannot rearrange troops mid-attack. Once you've rearranged troops at the beginning of your phase, you can attack someone. So declaring which player you're going to attack, and you're going to be looking to attack their army and working through. Once you've attacked someone, of course it's not required to do so, but you can attack any player that you want, only one player at a time, but you can attack multiple times. So you can attack multiple players, you can attack the same player over and over and over again, and there is a rule referred to as ganging up that allows other players to either join you in attacking that player or join the defender and help them defend against you. If when drawing a card, the player draws one of these blue colored do-gooder cards, they must fight this card before they can continue. And so let's talk combat to determine both how you would fight a do-gooder as well as how you would attack your opponents. Combat is fought over 3 phases: mind, magic, and melee. And you'll notice when looking at the cards, some of these cards have, or all of the cards have mind, magic, and melee mentioned, but some of the cards have a red triangle with a number on there. That is a bonus for that particular type of combat. So in the case of this riffraff card, they have no mind bonus, no magic bonus, and they get 1 bonus for melee. The gray boxes are the defense values, so 0 mind defense, 0 magic defense, 1 melee defense. And we'll talk about how that works here. Combat proceeds starting first with the mind phase. So this is our attacking player, and we'll just say that he's going to attack this player right here to his left. And for the purposes of just simplifying combat, we're not going to have anyone ganging up or anything like that. So I won't have either of these players joining in the mix. So what happens first is, now that I have declared that I am the attacking player and I'm attacking this player, this defending player has the option of using any of his Citadel cards and adding them to his army for defense, or he can leave them all in the Citadel if he would like. The only thing is, once they're out of the army, they can't retreat back to the Citadel until the end of battle. So we're going to leave it just as is for now. So the mind phase starts first. So I take a look at all of my army cards that are out here to see if I have any bonuses in the mind. And I do. This Dastardly Demon has a 1.5 mind bonus, meaning that I get a bonus on my roll. Now, any halves are rounded down, so this 1.5 is actually a 1 for purposes of the roll. Now, for mind attacks, I'm simply going to roll 2 6-sided dice. For mind, I need to roll, taking my die roll plus my bonus, needs to be a 12 or greater. So in this case, I'm going to add my bonus to my roll. So I've got a 5 plus my bonus of 1 gives me a 6. So I failed the mind attack. Now, let's say I had rolled enough to succeed in that mind attack. So there's an 11, my 1 bonus puts me at a 12. What the mind attack is going to do is it's going to look at the mind defense of each member of the army of the defending player, and it's now going to allow me to control one of those players. It's now, this riffraff card is now essentially a member of my army, and will help me with any further bonuses in any further rounds. The magic round of combat works the same way. In the magic round, and before I move to magic, the mind round, this defending player would have the ability to roll as well toward me to try to take anything back if they have a mind bonus. If you don't have a bonus in that particular type of combat, so in the example of the defending player here, they have no mind bonuses, so they're not actually going to roll a mind attack. So now we look at magic, and again, my Dastardly Demon has a magic value of 3, or a magic bonus of 3. I don't have any other magic bonuses on any of my other cards. So again, I'm going to roll my 2d6s, looking for a 12. I rolled a 5 plus a 3 is only an 8. Again, if I wanted to say 9 plus 3, if I'd have rolled that, what would happen in this case is this magic demon would do a magic attack that would destroy the member of the defending army that has the lowest value of magic defense. In this case, the menacing horde would be destroyed because they only have a magic defense of 1. So that card would be destroyed and simply placed in a discard pile. I'm going to move these cards over here back on camera so we can see those. So we'll put that in the discard pile. The defending player also has a magic bonus of 1, so they would also roll a magic attack looking for a 6, or a 12, I mean. So I rolled a 6 plus the 1 gives them a 7. The magic attack would fail coming back here. If they had succeeded, one of my magics, one of my army members with the lowest defense value would be destroyed. So in this case, I could choose to destroy this riffraff character since I had mind controlled it anyway, and they would be destroyed. The third and final round of combat is melee. Melee works a little bit different than both the mind and the magic attacks, in that with melee, both players are rolling 2d6s and are adding in any melee bonuses that they have. So the defending player would roll, well, in this case, he rolled a natural 2. By rolling 1s on both die, he automatically would lose the combat in that regard. If you roll 2 1s, you automatically lose. If you roll double 6s on any attack, you automatically win. There is the possibility for both people to roll 2s or both people to roll 12s and both win or both lose. But in the case of this, I'm going to go ahead and roll these dice again. So now we have an 8 plus their melee bonus of 2. That gives them a total of 10. I'm going to roll as the attacker, and I have a total of 10 plus melee of 2. So that takes me to 12, 16, 17, 21. So 21 is obviously bigger than 10. I'm going to destroy his melee, his unit with the lowest melee, or in this case, his only unit. So I've basically decimated his army. Now that combat has ended, we've gone through the mind, the magic, and the melee phases of combat. I have the option of attacking another player, either this player or this player. I could continue attacking this player, which in this case would mean storming his citadel and going against whatever defenses that he currently has in his citadel. Or I can choose to end my turn, allowing me to rearrange my cards and put more powerful cards back into my citadel and vice versa if I wanted to do that. I talked about the do-gooder cards earlier. If I'd have drawn this Angry Mob of Justice, I would have to fight this card before I could continue. So essentially, I'd have mind and magic attacks that I could try to do against this. So I could easily do, if I wanted to try the mind attack to see if I got a 12, I don't get to control the angry mob. I could try the magic attack. I rolled a 7, which still isn't high enough. And then we can do melee. So then I do my melee attacks on here. I roll my dice. There's an 11 plus all my melee bonuses, which is probably going to be enough to defeat the angry mob of justice, who's also going to roll 2d6s. 9 plus 5 is 14. So I've defeated the angry mob. I could then at that point continue my turn with attacking other players now that I've defeated that do-gooder card. I also mentioned briefly the ability to gang up. If it's not your turn, you can still join in on the fun of battle. What that would mean is you can join any attacking army. So any player, if this player is doing the attack, either one of these players could join in and add their forces to it and send more forces against this particular player here. Any players that are adjacent to the defending player could also join in to help the defender. So in the case of me attacking this player could join in to defend. However, this one could not, because you must be adjacent in order to defend. And you can opt to jump in and help the defender at the start of any round of battle. It doesn't have to be just at the start of the combat. Now, each adjacent player can contribute 1 card to the defender. You can't send troops into their citadel. They're only getting added into the army. Just like in this example, this player is being attacked by an adjacent player. So only this player could defend by adding a card over here. If, however, this player were attacking this player, both this player and this player, so you've got player 1, 2, 3, 4. If player 4 was attacking player 2, players 1 and 3 could each add a card to player 2's army for defense purposes. Now that we have eliminated the army of player 2, I'm going to do what is called storming their citadel. Storming the citadel, I declare that I'm going to destroy the citadel or storm the citadel. And in order to do so, this player then reveals the 3 cards that are in their citadel. What happens here is not only are these cards attacked and defend and roll die just like the armies did, but the cards that are in the citadel have double attack values across all bonuses, and the opponent doing the attacking has half of their bonuses for any mind or magic attacks. So in this case, if I were to attack in here, I still have my mind control. However, my mind control of 1.5 gets dropped to a 0.75 that then gets rounded down to 0, because you always round down. So I don't have a mind bonus. So in order to mind control any of these creatures in player 2's citadel, I would have to roll a natural 12 here, which I did not do. So my mind attack would fail. Magic works the same way. I have a magic bonus of 3, but that gets halved down to 1.5, which then gets rounded down to a 1. So a magic attack would succeed on a roll of 11 or 12, and I rolled an 8, so that would not be successful. My melee attack then, I still roll my 2 d12s. I've got a 7, 8, 12, 16, 17, 18 total attacking. The issue that I have over here is all of these attack values are doubled. So this player already has 26 plus 4 is 30. So this player already has a total of 30 plus their die roll in their citadel. So now you're looking at a 41 versus what I rolled over here, which I believe was an 18. So this player has won, the defending player has won, and gets to destroy the member of my army with the lowest melee defense. In this case, it would be the riffraff would get destroyed. That would end that combat round, and I could choose to attack the citadel again. I could choose to stop, or again, I could choose to attack another player. Now we've moved on. I've made it through the citadel now, and I'm deciding to face the Duke. So facing player 2's Duke. In this case, we have Girth the Odious that I'm facing. Now, Dukes possess all 3 attack values: mind, magic, and melee. They get to do all 3 types of attack. However, they are immune to mind attacks. So any mind bonuses that I have will not apply to the Duke, simply because they're immune to mind attacks. So the Duke would try to do a mind attack against me and would fail. I cannot do a mind attack. I can try to do a magic attack against the Duke. Now, bonuses do not count toward Dukes. The only bonuses that count when fighting a Duke are the 2 artifact cards. So if I were to be in possession of this Doom Sword in my army or in my citadel, I could add a +2 melee bonus to my melee roll. Otherwise, it's straight die rolls. There is also an artifact in here that is a skull that gives you bonuses for magic. So we'll roll my magic attack, and again, I failed on that. So then it's straight bonuses or straight rolls for melee, and I failed. So I would lose one of my melee attackers here. The game is going to proceed with each player going around and taking turns, attacking other players, storming their citadel, and eventually attacking and defeating their duke. The game will continue until one duke is left standing. That person is declared the winner. One other way the game can end is with what's called the Cataclysm. The Cataclysm occurs when there are no more cards in the deck. So let's say player 1 draws this card, adds it to their army, decides not to do any attack. Player 2 goes, there's no cards in the deck. You do not reshuffle the discard pile to form a new deck. Instead, what happens is players will reveal the cards that are in their citadels. So we'll flip all of these cards over in the citadels. As you're flipping these cards, as players are revealing their citadel cards, any duke or any player who is not in possession of an artifact, the artifacts being the Doom Sword and the Mage Skull, those players are immediately wiped out and do not survive the Cataclysm. So all of their armies, their citadels, all get discarded, and their player boards are pulled off as well, simply because they've been eliminated. They did not survive the end of the world. So we'll discard all these cards. We'll pull these guys out of the way. The players who do have their cards, these cards get moved forward into the army, and their citadel board is flipped to reveal the duke. And the duke is going to hang on to the artifact as well. So we're going to roll these cards out. So we have armies of 5 cards each. We got one duke that has the Mage Skull, one duke has the Doom Sword, and combat is now going to proceed between these two players until only one stands. It proceeds as normal with the exception of a 4th combat phase that is referred to as the Duke Smack. What's going to happen is you're going to roll your mind attacks. So again, I have my mind bonus here of 1.5 or 1, which fails. We have 1.5, there's another half, so that takes us to 2. There's another 1.5, so that's 3.5, which is going to round down to a 3 bonus. He rolled an 8, he doesn't have enough. So mind attacks didn't work. There, we go with magic attacks. I've got a total of 3. So I rolled an 11, so I'm going to be able to destroy something magic over here. He has no magic attacks over here. So what's going to happen here is we'll destroy one of their magic users that's there. Then we do our melee combat. So we do the melee die rolls. So we roll that, we add up everything, we destroy your typical results of melee combat. Once melee is resolved, and in this case, we got a guy here, this is wiped out. So once the melee has been resolved, the 4th and extra round of combat takes place, which is the Duke Smack. And the Duke Smack allows, this is basically the Dukes themselves striking out against the opposing army. So the Mage Skull is going to strike first. The Duke gets an extra magic attack. So he rolls his magic attack. He rolled an 8. And the Mage Skull gives a +4 magic bonus. So a magic attack is going to succeed on an 8 or higher. And since this Duke rolled an 8, he's going to destroy the lowest magic. So he's going to go ahead and destroy this Machino Death because it's a big beast. He wants to get rid of it. The Duke who has the Doom Sword gets an extra melee attack. So both sides are going to roll their melee attacks again. So and then the Duke who rolls the higher again is going to destroy the opponent's card with the lowest melee defense. So you've got the 9 plus the Doom Sword gives a +2. So you've got an 11 over here plus your other melee bonuses. You've got a 7 plus another 13. So you've got a total of 20 here. So this guy's going to win. He's going to destroy the melee person again. And again, battle's going to proceed back and forth until only one Duke is standing. So that is Big Bad Overlord, a game that plays in about an hour, 4 to 6 players. I believe there are some variant rules for like a 2-3 player game that are part of the Kickstarter as well, but as the game, as what I showed today, is a 4 to 6 player game. I do enjoy the depth of strategy. There's more strategy here than what there seems to be, because particularly in the aspect of which troops do I put in my citadel for defense, which troops do I put out in my army to attack other players. And I like the ability to rearrange those troops as I see fit. You know, rearrange them at the start of my turn so I can bring my big guys out, make them my army that I can then attack with, and then at the end of my turn, put them back in the citadel for defense as long as they weren't destroyed during the battle. I do like that aspect of it. Ultimately, there's a lot of luck in this game. So if luck in games is something that turns you off, this may not be a game for you, quite honestly. There's a lot of luck. Depending on what card you draw out of the deck when it's your turn. When you draw that card, it could be something fantastic that's great for defense, great for attack. It could be one of those do-gooder cards that you then have to fight. And I've had some games where that do-gooder comes out. I thought I had my army set up pretty well. That do-gooder comes out, and suddenly my army gets decimated by this hero that's suddenly shown up. And it makes for some good moments. But if you don't enjoy luck like that, if you don't enjoy games where luck can completely undo your strategy, again, this may not be for you. And then it also, you're coming down to die rolls as well. So, your mind, your magic attacks, you need to have a modified value of 12 or higher for those to be successful. So that's all die roll. Obviously, your melee combat is just straight die roll. Whichever side rolls the higher total or ends with the higher total is the winner. So, if you're not a fan of games where combat is determined by die rolls, this also might not be for you. For me personally, I had a good time with it. There were some great moments where you thought you had it in the bag, and then someone flipped over the cards that were in their citadel, and because of the double bonuses, it became really tough to get in there and be able to defeat them, and suddenly my army was annihilated because I hadn't thought about what they had in their citadel. I do like the kind of end game condition or that end game of, if you burn through the deck and there's not a winner quite yet, you have that whole cataclysm. And if you don't have an artifact, you're automatically out of the game and you don't get a fight during the apocalypse, which I think is very cool, very thematic with that in there. I have, as far as the art style, obviously everything that was in the video, again, prototype form, so certainly not final. Specifically, the Duke and the Citadel mats will be improved in the final production copy. My feeling on the art is kind of a mixed bag. On the one hand, it's very cute, charming. It gives you a feel of, someone who's sitting in school, not listening to the teacher, just kind of doodling in their notebook. It's got that kind of a feel to it. But on the other hand, the other side of this is that nowadays, when you're talking about board games and what we see, everything that's out there on Kickstarter nowadays, games can really live and die by their artwork. I've seen a lot of Kickstarter projects that are really good gameplay, but for whatever reason they don't get funded on Kickstarter simply because the art doesn't draw people in. And I could see the artwork here in Big Bad Overlord being in that bucket of not drawing people in or even turning people away because they look at it and it's very simplistic. It doesn't have the watercolor pictures and the really in-depth fantasy art that you would think that you would find in a game like this, because it does have that feel of someone who's taking this world out of their head during class and doodling in their notebook, and it fits that thematically. But when I look at some of these cards and I see these killer wolf frogs, it's like almost like a child's drawing. But again, to me, it's very endearing. To others who may be looking at it on Kickstarter, they may see that and go, no, it's not for me, because there's artwork out there, in other games that's drawing in. I know there are other projects on Kickstarter that there are games out there that sadly do get funded solely on the art and may not be a great game. But I would definitely say with Big Bad Overlord, it's definitely a heavy take that game. So it's a game, and I could see this being a game where you sit down around the table with your buddies, 4, 5, 6 of you. You're sitting around the table and just kind of slinging some pretzels, drinking some beverages of your choice, whatever that happens to be, and you know, playing a game out, getting in each other's faces. I don't think it's nasty enough that where it's going to end friendships and cause fights and all of that, but just nasty enough that, you know, kind of being in your face kind of game. Plays in about an hour, so, you know, I think the length of the game feels right for what the weight of the game is as well. But if this interests you, I'm going to put a link to the Kickstarter down in the description of this video. You can jump over to their Kickstarter page, take a look at Big Bad Overlord, help them reach their funding goal. Like I said, they've got 2, maybe 3 weeks left on the campaign as of the posting of this video. We can see if we can get them funded on this. If you have any questions, drop them below. Ask away. I can reach out to the designers if need be, but I should be able to answer quite a bit of them because I've been playing this pretty heavily in preparation for the review. So feel free to make comments, you know, feelings. What do you think of the artwork, for example? Do you think it fits and you know, is kind of endearing, or do you think that that the artwork's going to kill this? Definitely feel free to drop those comments down there as well, and I'll pass them along. You know, I'm sure the developers would love any kind of feedback that you would like to give. Until next time, I'm the Chubby Meeple saying, keep gaming, friends.